Things just got interesting for the Western Conference as Karl-Anthony Towns was traded to the New York Knicks. However, the Oklahoma City Thunder, I don't want to say they're reports or rumors, but there was an article that I found that showed could they have actually gotten Karl-Anthony Towns if they pursued him in a trade from the Minnesota Timberwolves, and what would the trade consisted of, considering he does have a large contract at the moment. We're also going to talk about some other things about how does this affect the current Western Conference and the Oklahoma City Thunder with him being gone from Minnesota. How does that new team look, and are they actually a better team now, and should the Thunder be worried about them? What up, it's Bryson Akins back with another Thunder Digest video for you guys today. Before we get into all this now with kind of breaking, I don't want to say breaking news, a little bit late reporting this topic here, but before we get into it, I just want to take a moment and say that if you guys find yourself watching all the videos all the way through, or if you find yourself coming back on a regular basis, or if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content we put out here, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the channel here. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get into talking about this Karl-Anthony Towns trade, as it was just kind of unprecedented and just out of nowhere when Shams broke the news. It was just, I remember I was with my friends and I saw it happen, and my phone was just blowing up the entire time. And I had to step outside for about 10 minutes to actually process and figure out what is going on right now in the NBA. And I feel like we get this kind of trade every single year right before training camp, right before media day starts, right before preseason, like 2 weeks before preseason, really. We get a trade like this. Damian Lillard last year was the trade, for example. Now Karl-Anthony Towns to the Knicks, which is huge for really every team in every conference now when you look at it. Now, first, go ahead and go in an article here that I found from Sports Illustrated talking about this. This is also by Chase. This is one of their new interns there. Go check out his work on Sports Illustrated. Check him out on Twitter as well. On Friday night, Shams broke the news that the Minnesota Timberwolves traded their longtime franchise big man to the New York Knicks for Julius Randle, Donte DiVincenzo, and a first-round pick. One of the most high-profile moves of the offseason. After playing a pivotal role in helping the Timberwolves get back to playoff relevancy alongside Anthony Edwards, it was surprising to see Towns be dealt seemingly out of nowhere. The power forward averaged 21.8 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 3 assists on 50% shooting from the field, and nearly 42% from behind the arc. Minnesota did receive a solid return for Towns, but for a team with the assets the likes of the Oklahoma City Thunder, it certainly could have put together a stronger package. Now, I was just going to go ahead and go into the second part of the article here, get out of the way. Of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams would have been off the table, but several other players on the Thunder roster likely would have been intriguing for the Timberwolves to add, on top of its stockpile of first-round picks, whether it be a combination of Dort, Cason Wallace, or Isaiah Joe. Oklahoma City has depth of both young and talented players through its lineup. Each player could fit right in the Minnesota system and help save money financially so it can ink Anthony Edwards to a long-term extension once the time comes. At the same time, Towns might not have made logical sense with the Thunder. It's already committed a significant amount of money to Gilgeous-Alexander, with big extensions waiting in the background for Holmgren and Williams. To add his $50 million plus annual salary on top of that would risk the possibility of keeping the core together. So, yes, I don't want to say like, oh, for sure there was a chance to go get Karl-Anthony Towns there, right before training camp. I do think we could have put together a strong package. Here's why I think Minnesota would have said no matter what. A, we can't really give them any size in return that they can instantly use. Yes, like a guy like Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, are on the table. I wouldn't really think Isaiah Joe, but Dort would probably be the high-profile guy that we try to trade there to hopefully line up contracts that could help us out. Him and someone else with a decently sized contract as well. Isaiah Joe would probably have to be that last addition, that last piece going to Minnesota, and then 2 first-round picks. I think that's what a package would have looked like for Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't want to say that's enough. I don't think it's quite enough to go get him. They're not high-profile names like Julius Randle, who was an all-star at one point. He's been on the on a down slope for the Knicks as of late, but Donte DiVincenzo was on the rise last season, really becoming one of the core pieces of that New York Knicks squad, making it to the second round of the playoffs. So I think they had a little bit more high profile. And secondly, they're not going to trade really their second best player on that team to a rival that they're trying to compete for a Western Conference Finals appearance and also a Finals appearance as well, championship. They're not going to give up that piece and give it to the Thunder. So I feel like the Thunder already were off the table, no matter what. So let's get that out of the way. Hypothetically, though, we do have the pieces to send over, and I would have loved to see a Chet Holmgren, Karl-Anthony Towns front court duo. Put Chet back at the 5, Cat at the 4. That squad would have been nice rolling with it. J-Dub at the 3. Let's say we got rid of Dort. You move Caruso, maybe even Aaron Wiggins to the 2 and Shai at the 1. That's a nice squad that you have going there. And you have big man depth now for sure on the team, with Hartenstein being a backup center, J. Will being the backup 4 at 6'9". You have depth now. So it would have been nice to add it. But realistically, it makes no sense to get a guy like Cat. It doesn't. I think he'd fit in the system well. I'm not saying that. It's just salary-wise and what we'd have to give up, it just doesn't make sense to do that trade. And I don't think we could have pulled it off anyways. And like I said, it's not hating on the guy at all. You look at the stats I'm pulling up here right now, all right? Like it was mentioned, 22 points a game and 8 boards a game right there. 3 assists as well for the 7-foot power forward. That's nice to see. And he's kind of entering the prime of his career at 28 years old. He's about to be 29. 41% on corner threes. 97% of his threes are assisted. And 34% of all his shots are three-pointers right there. Like I was mentioned, just over 50% from the field and almost at 42% from behind the three-point line. That's nice to see. Defensively, he is a little bit of a liability. He's not the best defensive player. He plays a little bit small for his size and position. That's like the only downside, really, when you look at Karl-Anthony Towns, is he doesn't play like a 7-footer. At times, it looks like he's playing like he's 6'5", 6'6", which is unfortunate. And you can kind of see that with the blocks and steals per game being the exact same number. Gets into foul trouble a little bit, 3.3 fouls per game. And then doesn't handle the ball all that great. Just right under 3 turnovers a game at 2.9. So he's not very, safe with the basketball in his hand. He does turn it over a good amount. Not saying he's a bad player at all. All right, he is a very, very good player. All right, he's an all-star. Not taking that away at all. It's just, Thunder-wise, I don't really see it making sense. Now, talking about how this still affects the Thunder and the entirety of the Western Conference, looking at the trade, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I feel like, got significantly worse. I don't want to say significantly, but I do think they got worse. Where's the size now? When you look at the size of the team, are you really counting Naz Reid as the backup center there? Julius Randle now is your starting power forward who's like 6'8". Okay, they don't really have a ton of size, which is kind of what they had their advantage over on the Oklahoma City Thunder. The fact that they had size in the starting lineup. Now it helps us out a ton seeing that. Getting that, one of the possibly the best power forward in the Western Conference when you look at it. That might be a bold thing to say. Go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong there. He might have been the best power forward in the Western Conference. He very well could have been that. Now him being gone and being in the East, where we don't got to worry about matching up with a guy like Cat now in the playoffs until the finals, I think that helps out the Thunder a ton. And I think that moves the Minnesota Timberwolves out of this kind of, for sure contender list to, okay, now they need to make one more move. They want to move back into that list where they need a big man. I feel like the only 2 true contenders now in the Western Conference are the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks. And this trade just opens the path up a little bit easier for both the Thunder and Mavericks. All right, I think us as Thunder fans, we should be ecstatic that this trade happened. Yes, it's unfortunate. Yeah, we didn't get him. Who cares? He's out of the Western Conference. It helps us out a ton. It really does. I'm not as scared of the Minnesota Timberwolves as well. You lock down Anthony Edwards. What do they really have for scoring options after that in that starting lineup? You're telling me Rudy Gobert is going to be your number 2 option? Mike Conley? All right, Jaden McDaniels, who is a great defensive player, not the best offensive player. It's just one of those things now. I feel like the West just got a little bit easier. The Nuggets digressed a little bit, and now the Timberwolves are digressing a little bit without Karl-Anthony Towns. They're focused on building a team around Anthony Edwards, which I don't blame them. Don't blame him one bit at all. I think that is the right move for Minnesota to build their team around Ant-Man. It's just, I feel like now they aren't for sure contenders or title favorites anymore. All right, I wouldn't even have them like top 6, top 7 in the league. All right, they might move down to like 9 or 10 now after that move. They lose a bunch of size, and that's what they really had over every Western Conference team besides the Dallas Mavericks probably, was that they had size, they're going to beat you on the boards, they're going to be good rim protectors, and they could bang down low when needed with Anthony Edwards as well, slashing to the rim. It's just, unfortunately, they lose. I say unfortunately, good thing for us. They lost that size, and so now I think the path is a little bit easier for the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's all I got for this video. Just let me know what you guys personally think. Do you think we should have tried to trade for Karl-Anthony Towns if that's the case? Or, do we think we just should have kept everyone that we had? If you do think we should have traded for him, let me know what a package would have looked like for you in that scenario for trading for Karl-Anthony Towns. That's all I got for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.